Hey, what's up guys? We are back for another video today, and as you can see by the title, we are going to be discussing Keenan Allen and Odell Beckham Jr. and what they need to do and really kind of how close they are to getting into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Now, a subscriber commented, hey, can you do this type of video with these two guys after we did Luke Kuechly and Mike Evans on Thursday, and I really like that idea of doing both of these guys rather than just, keep it division by division. And so shout out to Nicholas Reichman as the guy that suggested this. And by the way, I do read all the comments, so if you are ever wanting me to do a video or a certain topic, comment. I read every one, and there's a possibility that you could be the subject of today's video, or your idea could, not you specifically. But anyways, before we dive into Keenan Allen and Odell Beckham's possibility of getting into the Pro Football Hall of Fame after their NFL careers, please like the video and subscribe to the channel, as each only take a second to do, and it would be very much appreciated. Now let's begin. Now, we are going to start today's video off discussing Keenan Allen and his career with the San Diego/Los Angeles Chargers to date. And before you either roll your eyes or think, yeah, whatever about Keenan Allen being a Hall of Famer, I'm just going to, say some information that, I just want you to think about for a minute. He has 3 100 reception seasons, which is a lot, and 100 catch seasons are certainly not easy, and he has 3 of them, and he has 3 in the past 4 years, and the only year he did not, he had more than 95 receptions in the past 4 years. And not only that, Keenan already has over 620 career catches and over 7,000 yards to his name, and I don't want to say only, but he does have 40 career touchdowns, so he will need to get that up in the remaining part of his career if he, wants to be I don't want to say serious contender, but if he wants to have a legitimate shot at getting into the Hall. So Keenan has a lot of time left in his NFL career, and there is a very real possibility that he finishes his career with more than 1,000 receptions and more than 10 or even 11,000 receiving yards. And the only thing that's going to hold him back, and it's kind of going to hold another player like Julio Jones back, Julio is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, but the touchdowns are not there for either one of them. And Keenan specifically does not have a single 10 touchdown season, and we're going to see if that's going to change in the next couple of years with Justin Herbert coming into his own as a very good young professional quarterback. But Keenan needs to get those numbers specifically up, as it's going to be hard to look at some of the receivers' numbers from this era and the players that have 90 plus touchdowns, and then see Keenan with, when he retires, maybe either 55, 60, 65, and see him that far down. And 30 touchdowns is a lot, and it may not seem like that just because 30 may not be that big of a number, but 30 touchdowns difference is a lot. And when you're going to be in a stat padded era and a era where numbers are bigger than ever before, the touchdown numbers will need to come up for Keenan for him to legitimately have a shot at getting into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Now, Keenan is 29 years old, and what benefits him, or what looks good for him for the next couple of years, is him and Justin are only going to get better together. And Justin, as dominant of as a rookie year as he had, he's not going to go from, his Rookie of the Year campaign to 7 touchdowns and 25 interceptions in 2021 and have Keenan get 32 catches for 175 yards the whole year. Obviously, those are way exaggerative, but what I'm saying is both guys should get better with each other over the course of time. And Keenan, at 29 years old, you would like to think he has at least 4 more solid years, 29, 30, 31, and 32. Those years to be productive, still relatively at his peak. So there is a good possibility Keenan could string off what will be 7 out of 8 seasons with 100 receptions, especially with that 17th game. And all of those years adding up, that means Keenan would be over 1,000 catches and would be over 11,000 yards, and more than likely would be over 75 total touchdowns if he keeps this pace. And there's no reason to think that he can't with the 17th game. And the secondaries in the AFC West are not the best, to say the least. Now, they're definitely not no Legion of Boom in 2013 area. They're definitely not that. And Keenan feasts regularly, right? So there's no reason to think that Keenan at this point in time, with over 620 catches, with over 7,200 yards and 40 touchdowns, cannot finish his career. Again, he's working with Justin Herbert for the next 4 years with over 1,000 catches, with over 11,000 yards, and with 70 to 80 touchdowns. He had 8 touchdowns in his first year with Justin Herbert, and I would eventually think Keenan will get at least 1 double-digit touchdown season. So again, Keenan's numbers at the end of his career will look very good, and this is going to be the same thing with Mike Evans. He was never a top 2 dominant receiver, and that's going to be something that, the Hall of Fame panel will have to discuss about this generation with these numbers that they're going to put up. Is this guy that was never a top 2 dominant receiver, an AB or a Julio of this era, is he worthy of being in the Hall of Fame? And if I had to put my money on it, if I had to give my vote, assuming Keenan becomes that player that we think he will be statistically at the end of his career, I would say yes. To have that type of longevity and to be able to put up those type of numbers year in and year out. I do think Keenan will eventually, assuming everything goes right, will end up in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And now we discuss one of the most polarizing players in the entire NFL, and it is wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. Now, Odell started his career between the year 2014 through 2016 with 35 touchdowns in 3 seasons, and now 4 years later he has, I don't want to say just 52 total touchdowns, which is a bit underwhelming considering how his career started. He's had 2 seasons cut short due to injury, and in the other 2 seasons he was healthy, he barely eclipsed the 1,000-yard mark, despite comfortably eclipsing the 1,000-yard mark in each of the first 3 years of his career. So, Odell and the Hall of Fame it's going to be an interesting debate when his time comes, because as we discussed with Mike Evans, it's, the writers and the guys in the panel, they do not like the flashy, like the T.O., the popcorn in the face, the Randy Moss mooning the crowd, and you get what I'm going with those types of examples. And Odell proposing a marriage to a field goal net is certainly something that those guys are going to not enjoy when it comes to his time on the panel. And what's going to be interesting following Odell's career from here on out is he's going to have to become that type of player that he was again, because those 3 seasons alone are not going to be enough to carry him in terms of a Hall of Fame ballot, because everyone, even Odell fans, you guys would have to admit that he has not been that same player from 2014 through 2016 in any of the past 4 seasons. Now, he's had glimpses of those types of games, but he has not been that dominant same player where teams game plan around him. And he had a game last year against the Cowboys that was very good before he unfortunately tore his ACL, but those games have been few and far between over the past 4 years, unfortunately for him. And that's not me hating on him, that's just factual. That's just the way that it is, and the stats back that up, right? So Odell's Hall of Fame case it's interesting, and as we said, the guys are not going to like some of the things that he used to do. The Josh Norman game with him coming across the field and absolutely just, killing them with helmet-to-helmet play and things like that. Those are going to be things that people on the Hall of Fame panel are not going to like, and generally the people on the Hall of Fame panel are the guys that, we say take the fun out of the game, and if someone showboats or if someone, does like a first down, like flashy, they're just like, oh, just play the game and, stick with what you're doing and whatever, and stick to football and everything like that in terms of issues we've had around the country, if you will, in the past year or so. I'm not going to get into that, and I'm just going to leave it at that, but that's generally what consists of the Hall of Fame panel. And so anything that Odell has done, whether it be anything flashy in the past 4 or 5 years, that's not going to be looked at well, and unfortunately for him, he does not have the numbers to back it up aside from 3 years of his career. And I really do hope he turns it around, but at some point, here we are a whole presidential term later, Odell really hasn't changed anything, and it's still the same from 2018 and 2019 as to what it is now. As we said, 2 unfortunate season-ending injuries, but Odell is certainly isn't the player today that he was 5 years ago, and that is going to hurt his Hall of Fame case. Now, the problem that I have, or problem that I see with Odell and his Hall of Fame chances, is what has he done lately? And the NFL is the ultimate what have you done for me lately league, and Odell has one 1,000-yard year in the past 2, but what is concerning regarding that is he did not clear by much. It's not like he had a 1,350-yard year and, there was plenty of room for cushion and everything like that. But Odell had 1,035 yards in 2019, and who knows if he would have hit it this past year. But anyways, in 2019, if he doesn't make an 89-yard catch against the Jets, by the way, a Jets team that was horrendous, and that was during the week where Sam Darnold had mono and everything like that, and that was a very bad team. But what I'm saying is if he does not make that catch, then he's not a 1,000-yard receiver. And Odell, given that he has one 1,000-yard year in the past 2, now 2 in the past 3, 2, I will give credit to him, but he's not like 100 catches in 3 of the past 4 years like Keenan, and given that he is 28 years old, who knows what he's going to do coming up, right? There's no given like, oh, well, Odell has this track record that he could very easily get back to the 2014 to 16 seasons, because it's not like that, and that really concerns me, because Odell has 487 career receptions. He does not have, 700, where he only really has to put up maybe 3 or 4 more 60 to 70 catch years, and he's good. Like, Odell still has a good ways to go. He has 487 career receptions, around 6,500 yards, and 52 total touchdowns, so he has a good bit to add to the resume. And what's going to be a tough vote to push him in is are those 3 years that he had going to outweigh the majority of his career? And, you know, he had 3, without a doubt, Hall of Fame caliber years. There's no doubt that those first 3 years were absolutely electric, and Odell really did take the league by storm, but since then he has been, I don't want to say mediocre, but he certainly hasn't been great by any means, and that's what's going to be tough when it comes to his Hall of Fame case, is he's going to have at least 1 to 2 more of those years to really, you know, push those numbers up to get him into that discussion, and for now, I would say he's not. I mean, obviously he's not going to be in, and Keenan for that point, and Keenan at that point in time is not a Hall of Famer either. Neither of them are right now, but what we're going off of is trajectories and, you know, how these guys can play for the rest of their careers, and Odell at this point, based on the past 4 years, will not end up in Canton, but there is a very good possibility he can change that. It's just a matter of will he or won't he, and that is what I have for today's video. So anyways, that's going to wrap up today. I hope you enjoyed. I really do enjoy making these videos, and let me know any other players you want me to discuss. This can really be anybody. It's not just open to receivers, but anyways, that's all I have. I hope you guys enjoyed, and until next time, have a great day. Love you guys. Deuces. Peace.